Good morning, Bucknutters. Thursday, December 19th, 2024. Still here, almost 2025. I'm Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change, coming to you a little bit earlier than usual these days, or today at least, because of life getting in the way for people. Mark will be with us. Mark Porter and Bill Kurelic will be with us. Mark just briefly, as he has an appointment to attend to. But first, I've got to let you know of our sponsor for the day. Is your house about to get invaded with people for the game? You're going to have people over for Saturday night. You're going to bleed that into the holidays. You get everyone in the house. Things get a little cramped. You know what happens. People get a little rank, a little smelly. You know what they need? Mando. Developed by doctors, comes in a cream tube, comes in any way you want to apply deodorant. But this is different. You can put it anywhere on your body. All the crevices, all your nooks, all your crannies. It's a whole body deodorant created by a doctor, blocks odor all day, and can control odor for up to 72 hours. Baking soda free, paraben free. If you knew what a paraben was, I don't, but it's not in there. And it's clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. I think that's something we could all use. Luckily, Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers, and I've got a deal for you. Comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, let's say a mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And as a special offer for our Bucknutters, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. Ultimately, you're getting 40% off your starter pack if you use the code Bucknuts at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. All right. Speaking of confidence, gentlemen, did you know there's more money wagered on Ohio State to win the national championship in Las Vegas than any other college football team? Now, to do that, they would obviously have to beat Tennessee this weekend. They are a 7.5 point favorite as of about 25 minutes ago. Bill, we're going to start with you. In fact, Mark, we're going to start with you because you have a ejection seat ready and got stuff to attend to for a variety of reasons.
I wish I could stay.
I don't want to bring it up, but we've all been there, or most of us have been there. So let's talk creamsicle. Let's talk Vols. Your thoughts as you now look at the two teams. Pretty interesting matchup. Pros on both sides of the defensive line. It seems to be that is the vibe. Can our offensive line handle their D-line? Your thoughts as Ohio State takes the field again after you know what?
Yeah, a couple of different narratives I can talk about. This game mirrors the Michigan way in a scary game, or in a scary way. The Tennessee defensive line, you mentioned it, is a strength, and that was Michigan's strength. And that goes against our weakness. We think our offensive line, we're going to have a new starter, Luke Montgomery at guard. So you're bringing in some new guys to come deal with this vaunted defensive line. On the flip side, Tennessee is also known for their running game, which is all Michigan had. They had a quarterback that they probably, weren't sure about, and Michigan hung their hat on the running game. So if you're the Ohio State staff and you're going and doing your film work, you're looking in the mirror like, we just saw this same recipe or whatever. Initially, that scared me. Like, boy, that's what we just saw. This game might be a little tighter. And, I thought maybe cold weather would have some of those guys down south, whatever. But, run games and defense maybe built for the cold weather. But I do remember guys I played with in college that were from down south. It got to 50 degrees, and they got the shivers like I've never seen before. So there is something to the thinner blood and, maybe the cold does, but that's not what's going to decide this game. I think if you're Ohio State, you're going to run the game plan you should have run at Michigan. You're going to learn, like they said in the Chip Kelly said, this is on us. We made the mistake. We now show us that you know how to not run into the teeth of the defense. Stay away from those great defensive linemen. Help out your offensive linemen with some play calls. Use Jeremiah Smith. Use be who you are. Lose being who you are if you're going to lose. But I think we see a switching game plans, and that gives me confidence that Ohio State should roll. You said the odds-on favorite for Ohio State to win the national championship, or at least the money. That's the way I felt right after the Michigan game, where, boy, I'd put some money on a bunch of guys that are supremely motivated to save their own butts right now. They're all humiliated. They're all playing for jobs and NFL money and contracts, and so that's a pretty good place to put your money for a national championship. And I think they've had the talent all year to do it. The second narrative I thought about was Iamaleava, the quarterback for Tennessee, was at the Ohio State camp, and everyone loved him. And Bill and I were there. I remember, like I joked, he was wearing the wife beater, but that was the in style from out west and looked a little different in a workout setting. But the narrative Tennessee's trying to tell people is, listen, that was Ohio State's quarterback. We bought him. Remember, that was one of the first players that was bought. Like, we flat out just said we're going to outbid everybody. And Tennessee has done that with other players. We're going to buy players. They have to prove to their donors that money was well spent. We took Ohio State's quarterback, and we're going to go up there and beat Ohio State with him. Your money is well spent. Or, hey, you gave us all this money. We bought all these players. We got to go up there and test it, and it's not enough, and we need more, and here's the separation. So I think that narrative for the Tennessee side of things, that's what they're trying to prove with this is their first chance to put on a national stage that, hey, our system of paying players or whatever it is and beating the star system, it's working or not working.
William, your thoughts? You know a lot of these guys. The most high-profile recruit that we didn't get apparently is out at practice for the Vols and is looking good too, I might add. The name that will no longer be mentioned here until we come up with a new name to obsess about. We made that clear. All right, Bill, your thoughts?
Well, my two biggest worries from a Ohio State standpoint, and Mark touched on both of them a little bit, but one in particular. My biggest worry is their defensive line being maybe arguably their strength of the entire team. Their defensive line against our offensive line with, as Mark mentioned, a new starter. How they've got at least one, if not two, first-round NFL draft choices on that defensive line, and that's formidable. So, and, Michigan had the same thing, to be honest, with the Graham kid and maybe the Grant kid. But how our offensive line can handle their defensive line, and can we run the ball some? I think we need to run the ball some. And do we have time to pass the ball? Particularly, does Ohio State have time to throw the ball downfield, or will it have to be all the shorter stuff? So that's my number one concern. And then Mark mentioned the quarterback. He's better than Michigan's quarterback. And I know that's a pretty low bar, but he's better than the Michigan quarterback. So we have a little bit more worry there than we did with the Michigan quarterback. Can we handle that? Those are my two biggest worries. Now, having said that, I still like Ohio State. And I don't know if you're going to ask me at the end, Dan, for a prediction.
Go ahead.
But I will say I'll just say right now I still like Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm going to give my opinion here real quick, and then we'll do Phil Daniels, and we'll let Mark go. You got a minute, Mark?
Mm-hmm.
I was telling someone I've never followed a team, and I followed teams pretty much religiously since I was able to sign, that I have no idea what's going to happen in this respect. If you told me things went bad early, they let go of the rope, and Tennessee ran away with it, that would bother me, but it's not like out of the realm of possibility. If you told me Ohio State put it together, this is the first step in a 4-game run where they look like the best team in the country, win the national championship, hindsight's 2020, and we're like, they're built for the playoffs. Sure. The fact that you have two diametrically opposed scenarios, and I could literally walk into my high school debate class right now and feel like I could throw punches on either side. I've never been through that. Usually when you root for a team this good, these games, I'd be like, well, they're going to win the first two games. I'm worried about Georgia in the semis or something like that, or whoever they would play, Texas. And I don't feel that way. But yet I also know that they're talented enough to get it done. So it is going to be an adventure. That is for sure. I think they win. I hope they win in the fashion also that we just can get over the ridiculousness of the Michigan game. And I do also really believe that the team has the momentum to get it going. Look at the matchups. There is no juggernaut from Joe Burrow's LSU is not sitting out there. Trevor Lawrence and Clemson and the refs are not sitting out there. We have as much talent as anybody, so I think they'll come through. All right, Bill and I will answer questions about that going forward, but want to get Mark's feelings before he has to boogie here on the addition of offensive lineman, Philip Daniels. I would make the argument that he would be, personally, he would have been my number one choice of the offensive lineman I've seen in the portal, given his size, his age, his potential. That's just my opinion. I may be slightly biased there, but that's okay. The other guys I've seen come up have some, I definitely have some interest in it. There's guys who went out there, but to me, this would have been the tackle I would have gone for. So I'm ecstatic about that. Mark, you've known about him for a while. He comes from Princeton High School, which has done well for us in the production of offensive linemen in recent past. Your thoughts on the addition? And, I've said in the past, before we got really rolling in the portal, I thought Davison Igbinosun was the ideal transfer in that. Came from a big program, had 2 years of eligibility left, was probably just on the borderline of being an Ohio State guy the first time around. Now they've done it, and it's actually an Ohioan. So you've basically, Phil Daniels went out, redshirted, got developed. Right now he's ready to be a full-time kick-butt starter, and he comes back to Ohio State. Your thoughts on the addition of Philly Daniels?
Well, all I can do is maybe put a finer point on some of your points. When you say you like him as one of the guys in the portal the most, I think why you factor that in is the amount of time he has left here. It's not just get him on campus, plug him in, pull him out, and he's gone.
Among tackles.
Yeah, among tackles. And then, the developmental type of player coming out of high school is the type that always goes somewhere else, and you see them drafted. And now you can, like you're saying, you have a mulligan. Like, okay, go to that. And I hate to call Minnesota the JV team. Go to the JVs, get your reps, get your confidence, get 500 plays in at a high level, and that'll sharpen your blade. And now you're ready to come to us. Now, the part of it that I'm not sure about is he's still developmental type, and he's totally not finished. And Coach Mariotti is going to get him right away and tune him up in the next 6 or 8 months before we see him. We'll get a little, present at spring ball. But I don't know if he's plug and play or going to be one of the pieces we need. I was, asked on the last podcast, about these guys, and I want a bunch of them. I want to take 3 or 4 Philip Daniels and have them fight it out with the guys we have. And I think having those guys as either depth or plug and play guys is what we're looking at here to beef up the offensive line to withstand the injuries. And yeah, I don't know how many more guys are going to be at his level or this caliber, but 3 or 4 of these guys, I think, is the way to go. And that's, I kind of brought up, is he plug and play right now? I don't know. I mean, he may be equal to the Luke Montgomerys and Sierra Velds, which is starting caliber, and he may fit right in there. But I don't think he's head and shoulders better than those guys, and I don't think he's head and shoulders below either. So I think he's coming on par with some of what we have and a little more meat on his bone to develop. He really has taken off since high school. I mean, it looks like he was one of those guys that once he got 3 meals a day and 8,000 calories and a strength coach and a dietitian watching what he was pulling out of the buffet, his body has changed tremendously.
He's a bigger dude, though. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the nutrition and, same thing Ohio State's going to do to him. That did well. I mean, a lot of these kids come from places where they're not getting 3 high-quality protein meals a day and waking up with a protein shake and, the blockchain amino acids and, all the other things that the Ohio State will help him out with.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say, like, Montgomery and Cedarville are really good players and good process, but they don't look like Daniels. Those guys could look like guards, tackles. Daniels is a tackle.
Yeah, and that's why we're excited that he's such a nice fit, because even if he isn't plug and play the first 5 weeks of the season, he's going to be a player. We have a couple years to sharpen his blade, and you may see him get drafted in the 2nd or 1st round in a couple years because of his finer development may happen here. And I have a lot of confidence in the offensive line coach at Minnesota. I've known him since he was back at Akron. Barry Callahan's a very astute offensive line coach, and I know they don't want to lose guys like this, but yeah, Ohio State will put a little finer point on his development.
All right. There's some Michigan fans in here that need a little timeout. All right, Mark, I appreciate it. We're going to let you go. Enjoy the painkillers. All right, William, your thoughts on the addition of Phil Daniels. Obviously, you are a recruiting writer with a minor in offensive line transfer portal acquisitions these days. It's clear what the Nutters want, and I don't blame them. Maybe talk about the addition of Phil Daniels and then an update overall on the guys they're bringing in. And with each guy, if you could clarify what Ohio State wants them for, because I may have done a poor job in that, and that I'd love for them to add Josh Thompson from Northwestern, but I think his intentions are to play guard, and that'd be tremendous. I mean, I've told Bill this. To me, it would be I'd like Onyeonwa from Rice because I think he's a little further along than Phil Daniels, and our guy Josh Thompson would be, for me, almost a perfect haul. William, your thoughts?
Well, Phil Daniels is, as Mark said, and 6'5", 315, played a limited amount of time in 2023 for Minnesota, 2024 this season. I'm sorry, 2023, he redshirted. 2024, this season, he played a limited amount of time at the beginning of the season. And then Minnesota had some injuries and things on the offensive line, so they needed him to step up there. He was not originally slotted to be a starter for Minnesota this season. And they kind of needed him to step in. The last 4 games, he stepped in and did a good job and showed that he could play. Now, in a perfect world, they would not have gone to him as a starter this season, but their perfect world didn't work out.
Shocker.
At Ohio State next season, I think in a perfect world, he will just roll right in and be the starter at right tackle, most likely, and play all the games and play well. Will that happen? We'll have to wait and see. He's not, he's going to have to win the competition. If you're at Ohio State, you don't come in and they tell you automatically walk in the door and start. You've got to earn that position. I think he can do that. And like Mark and you said, the best part too is that he's got multiple years to develop, and he will be developed at Ohio State. And that's part of the reason that he's coming to Ohio State. And he is a Cincinnati kid, so to speak. And so it's a bit of a homecoming. So I think the future is bright for him, most likely, I think, as a starter. But again, as Mark mentioned, he still has some development yet to go on his path. Now, as far as the other guys.
Timeout, Bill. Can I call a quick timeout? 9 people, I think, will end up starting if this weekend goes how we expect. So to say offensive line starter doesn't just mean 5 dudes. We've learned that. All right, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, and Ohio State had to do quite a bit of a rearranging this year too. Hasn't been a perfect world by any stretch when you lose your starting left tackle, who is going to be a 1st or 2nd round draft choice, most likely, probably 2nd round draft choice, I think, but maybe 1st round in the NFL draft. You lose your center, who is named the best center in the country. It's been a tough go for Ohio State on that front. Now, as far as the other guys, there are still a number of them out there. Ethan Onyeonwa from Rice. I think that as of yesterday, my feeling, and things change in this transfer portal world for sure. We were talking before the show. Isaiah World, when I spoke to him last, I think it was Thursday or Friday night, he didn't even mention Oregon. That wasn't even they weren't really on his radar screen as a top school. I talked to him. He did not bring them up as a top school. He named a handful of schools and said, that's about it. Oregon wasn't one of them. He's going to Oregon. So things do change. But the guys that they're still going after right now, Aniano is certainly one of them. Iowa, Ohio State. He has made visits to both of them. He's a 6'6", 340-pound approximately offensive tackle that would look very good at Ohio State. And they are, looking at him mostly as a tackle, pretty much as a tackle. Josh Thompson would look great at Ohio State. He's played left guard. He's played right guard. He's played right tackle. This season, he was a very good right tackle for Minnesota. But he projects as a guard in the NFL. So I think that's most likely what he's going to play wherever he ends up. And he could end up at Ohio State. He is absolutely considering the Buckeyes. Auburn's up there. Michigan's up. Just been rounding out his visits. So by the time he gets done with those, maybe things change a little bit.
Well, actually, you know what? I want to take a break real quick here. One reason is you're starting to glitch. Once you mentioned Maryland. Once you mentioned Michigan, it glitched, and now you're frozen, which means I'm gonna have to make up some stuff. But I've also got to let you guys know about Future Fans, which is really cool. This is about helping little kids become big fans. Futurefans.com. This is a very cool setup. We're trying to develop the next generation, get them going, put them in a position to really enjoy football the way we do, and also create new clients. Just kidding. Let's hope this is the beginning of a deep playoff run for your Buckeyes. And when it is, that experience is going to be wonderful for you to share with your family, friends, strangers. All we're talking about is the next matchup after Tennessee. It will be the beautiful Rose Bowl. My Lord, I cannot tell you how much I would love to go see that. And you create memories with your people that last a lifetime. And if you have young kids or no young kids, there's one thing you need to make sure they get to experience this with you. Future Fans Football. It's the best $50 you're going to spend. Future Fans helps little kids become big football fans by embedding the rules of football into parallel games and activities in a way that is absolutely genius. Oh, and the dads who invented it are based right here in Columbus, although I'm in Dayton. They're based in our capital city. Go to futurefans.com/OSU right now to see what I mean. That's futurefans.com/OSU, and make sure the little ones in your life experience the magic of this playoff run right alongside you. So, is this the best day for Bill to experience technical difficulties? Absolutely not. And that's because Mark is already gone. That said, let's try, if you have any questions, Kevin Chavis. I heard Isaiah World more than likely won't be coming to Ohio State. Kevin, I think you hopped on right after we discussed this. Isaiah World will be going to the University of Oregon. And they weren't in the original 3, as Bill told us. And now he is going to Oregon. West Coaster, kind of staying out there. We will see how that goes. Love the Sanchez family. We all do love the Sanchez family. I actually watched the state semifinal between North Shore and Austin Westlake live because I wanted to see Devin play. It was nationally televised. If you got a nice cable package. William, are you back? William?
I am back.
Okay, I'm talking a little bit about Devin Sanchez here. And I know we talked about how he was avoided in coverage, and then you watch it in person. I was thinking to myself, I know you don't give perfect grades to players for a football game, But I have to imagine there are games where Devin literally was never on the screen. They never threw to his side. I'm not exaggerating. Never. Not one time that I watched. And listen, they weren't North Shore, I got to tell you, kind of took it on the chin, in my opinion. I thought that Austin Westlake kind of got after him a little bit. But keep this in mind, North Shore's other defensive backs, one of them is going to Arkansas, and they went after him because Devin was there. So we have a lot to look forward to. That's not hype. That is something else. We're going to be excited about that. All right, Bill, you glitched right when you said Josh Thompson was being recruited by Michigan. I don't know if that's a coincidence. I'm not even kidding. You literally froze. It was like you got like the khaki tractor beam caught on you. So let's start with Josh Thompson. Bring that part up. Talk about what you think on him. It'll be a little bit repetitive because we had to start it, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, and I did talk about Anianwa, right?
You finished Anianwa, and I'm glad you got to pronounce that again for everybody. Go ahead.
Yeah, we had a slight short internet outage here in the Lewis Center area, I guess, because the internet went out for a few minutes there. But Josh Thompson, he has played left guard, he's played right guard, he's played right tackle. I think I know he projects as a guard in college, so I think that's what he's going to play. Where he's going to end up, hard to say right now. I think Ohio State's in it. I think Auburn's in it. I think Michigan's in it. But he's not finished. He's been finishing up his visits this week, so we'll see. Things change as we know. I don't know if I had mentioned the Isaiah World part before I went out, but things changed with him when I spoke with him last Thursday or Friday. Didn't even mention Oregon. Mentioned 3 or 4 or 5 schools. He said that's about it. He ends up at Oregon. So things do change. But Josh Thompson is a guy that would look great at Ohio State, and we'll see what happens. Again, I mentioned Michigan, I mentioned Auburn, I mentioned Ohio State, but he's got a few other schools that he's been visiting too. They did host, going to another offensive lineman, they did host another offensive lineman on a visit yesterday, that being Ratrell Perry. He is from Central Connecticut State, the lifeblood of NFL football prospects. But he is a 6'5" to 315-pound offensive tackle, offensive guard. I think he could play either one. And in 2022 for Central Connecticut State, he played in 4 games. And then this year he played in all the games for them, 2023 as well. He's a kid that, again, he made a visit to Ohio State yesterday, and his visits have been continuing. I think that's the main offensive lineman that we've all hit on now. Phillip Daniels, Anianwa, Josh Thompson, and Ratrell Perry. I don't think I'm leaving anybody out of there right now.
I said this, I'll take the first 3 and call it a day. I really think that would be ideal. Now, who knows? Like Bill said, and I think it's important to remember this, almost everything we've learned about recruiting and transfer portaling before today and this situation, you can almost just let it fly out the window. Because, and I heard Urban Meyer talk recently, he said, all the building of relationships and going to people's living rooms, and I think he was being might have been exaggerating a little bit, but he said, that's over with. Now all it is call them up. How much do you need to come here? If not, we're moving on. I think that's a little bit black and white, but if you are going to the highest bidder and the highest bidder comes in at the last second, what schools the player bid on told Bill about recently, that doesn't matter anymore. 15 minutes later, there could be a new suitor, like one that has a shoe company associated with it, and it is over and done with. I still honestly believe this, and I keep saying this. The kids that are excellent football players, excellent individuals who are focused on their long-term development and getting to the NFL and getting a second big contract in the NFL. Those are the guys you want to focus on, right? And just as the perfect example, we know we have one coming here, but I mean, just imagine, I know Daniel and Dietrich can't say this. Just imagine what was thrown at the Sanchez's over the last few months. I'd like to know, just for ha-has. I wouldn't want to publicly get that out there, but it's something else. Oh, this was interesting.
Also,
go ahead, Bill.
Talking about Perry, I didn't say where he was from. He is from Connecticut originally. He went to Trinity Pauling High School, class of 2022. And then that 2022 season, as I said, he went to Central Connecticut State, played in 4 games. And then 2023 and 2024, he has continued on at Central Connecticut State before hopping in the transfer portal.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Trinity Pauling is a private school more known for ice hockey. So that means neither here nor there. Jaden Bond, who Daryl Lee Mans asked, what's your feeling on him leaving? Bill, Jaden Bond, safety from the Jersey area. I don't think this is super complicated. I think he was passed on the depth chart by several players that were younger than him. And when that happens, you hit the portal. And that's just kind of how it goes. All right. Michael Vick is a coach. That's pretty impressive. I covered Vick in high school. Good Lord. All right. Bill, where will you be taking in the game this weekend? You and I will not be there. You will be manning the phones, I assume. How is this for visits? Are they bringing a lot of guys for visits? How does that work with the college football playoff? I never really even thought about that.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this last week. It's kind of a strange situation. It's they can have guys on campus, high school guys, for instance. Mm-hmm. It's a quiet period this week. So that means guys can be on campus, like 2026 guys could come on campus and visit Ohio State on Saturday. But they cannot go to the game as a guest of Ohio State because it is not a regular season home game.
Right.
So if they showed up at Ohio State and had previously purchased their own ticket, they could go to that game. They just can't be a guest of Ohio State. There's not a recruiting section, so to speak. So it's kind of a strange situation. But that's the world we're living in of college football right now. Everything is kind of a strange situation, it seems. But to answer your question, I will be at the Kurelic home right here watching the game from my house.
With multiple grandchildren in tow, I'm sure.
Nah,
yeah. Look at that, man. That's not a recruiting visit right there. Good Lord.
Yeah, my son actually is he bought his own ticket. He is going to the Ohio State Tennessee game on Saturday.
Fine Ohioan that he is. Yeah, man. Next time we talk to you guys, I mean, I can't even get my mind around the possible permutations of this game. I can tell you this. They're going to keep recruiting and keep hitting the transfer portal regardless. I said this to somebody. Boy, it'd be really nice if between now and the game, those 2 days, if I were Ryan Day, I'd try and add as many portal additions as I could. So if things don't go well, we have more people on the Ryan Day bus, as it were, headed towards 2025. All right.
By the way, Dan, we haven't mentioned I put a story on our site first thing this morning about another visitor to Ohio State on Friday.
Look to the defense, Bill. I apologize. I got O-line on the brain. Help me out.
Logan George. He is from another hotbed of NFL recruits, Idaho State.
Oh, yeah.
For Logan George. And I'm not trying to put down Idaho State. It's just that it's not a school that comes up all the time when talking about NFL guys, but they've got a good one. Logan George, he's a 6'5", 260-pound defensive lineman at Idaho State. And he is originally from Pocatello. Idaho.
Another
Highland
hotbed.
High School in Pocatello, Idaho. And for this season, I should go back, for the 2023 season, which was his first season at Idaho State, he played in 10 games, made 31 tackles, pretty good for a first-year defensive lineman. This year for Idaho State, he played in 12 games and made 57 tackles, and now he is in the transfer portal, and he is visiting Ohio State on Friday. Really pretty good offer list. Ohio State offered him a scholarship on Monday, and he got that visit set up pretty quickly to Ohio State on Friday. So in addition to Ohio State, he has scholarship offers from Missouri, Utah, Texas A&M, Boise State. Those are some pretty good schools. Those are schools that, you hear mentioned in the college football playoff. Oklahoma, Virginia, Georgia Tech, Iowa State. Those schools have all offered Logan George a scholarship.
So Kevin Shaver says, heard of Idaho, but there's an Idaho State too. I knew Idaho was the Vandals, Bill, but I just Googled it. Idaho State?
I'm not going to have the answer to that one.
Benny the Bengal is their
that's right.
The Idaho State Bengals. All right.
Actually, I did see that on Logan George's uniform. I should have remembered that.
And so that'd be a trip if we get guys out of like Rice, Minnesota, Idaho State. That is what you call portaling right there. All right. Time to go. I have no idea what it's going to be like on Tuesday when we talk. I'll be back here on Monday with Dave. Good Lord, that show will be well attended. Good or bad, I don't know. If I have I can't even get into it. Let's just, you know what? Here's my honest thing. Let's just beat Tennessee. I don't care how many points, just by 1 point. And then momentum, you go out to the beautiful 70 and sunny green grass of Pasadena and the Rose Bowl, catch some momentum, win the national championship. How does that sound to everybody? It sounds great to me. I'm sure it sounds great to the dean. We appreciate everybody stopping by. Have a good one, Nutters.